Whenever you guys are ready.
Okay.
Let me ask, are you going to edit this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Terrence Caldwell with Out TV Atlanta, and I am here at the Stonewall Bar Association's 6th Annual Awards Dinner, and with me is Mimi McCain, the Stonewall Bar Association's president. Hi, Mimi. How are you?
Hi, Terrence. I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Well, tell us about the Stonewall Bar.
The Stonewall Bar Association is an association of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and actually heterosexual individuals who are legal professionals. That can be law students, attorneys, judges, paralegals, legal secretaries, the whole gamut. And we exist for many functions and in our community. One of those is to obviously socialize and network with each other to help each other build their practices. We also provide social and educational functions for the larger community, and we have our awards dinner every year where we recognize the contributions of many of the individuals in our community who contribute to our civil rights.
Great. Now, can you tell us about who will be receiving awards tonight?
I can. You know what? You need to let me go and get my things.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We're going to cut for a second. Sorry. Sorry, maybe I meant to.
Hold on, I don't want to read. God, I wish I had somebody standing there with this.
Well, you know what? If you don't want to, we can skip it, and I'll just do the voiceover later.
You want to
of
do
it.
that?
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
prefer that. It would probably move smoother, actually,
Yeah.
I think.
Let me
Do you
just
want
make
to?
sure the. Okay.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay. Senator Ford is receiving an award this evening. Can you tell us about that?
He is. Senator Ford's receiving our very first Stonewall Community Ally Award, and we're giving him that in recognition of his amazing leadership in getting the hate crimes bill passed last year. He put together an amazing coalition of individuals who worked very hard to get that hate crimes bill passed, and we're very thankful and want to recognize that effort.
I see. And also Kathy Woolard and her partner, one of our local heroes.
Right. Kathy Woolard, our city councilwoman, is getting an award tonight because she and her partner, well, technically she intervened in the case of City of Atlanta versus John Oxendine, the insurance commissioner. John Oxendine was fighting the domestic partnership benefits that City of Atlanta had passed, and the City Council had passed. And Kathy Woolard, since she has a life partner and is a City of Atlanta employee technically, had the right to come in and intervene as a plaintiff. And she took up that cause and really put a personal face on domestic partnership issues, which was great.
Absolutely. Well, Mimi, other attorneys that are out there that might be watching, is there some way that they can contact the Stonewall Bar if they would like to become members or?
Absolutely. You can contact me directly at 404-527-6645. We also have a brand new website at www.stonewallbar.org. And as soon as our membership application online gets free of bugs, you can join actually online. But you can also contact us. There are contact numbers on the website too.
Great. Thank you, Mimi, for talking with us.
Thanks, Terrence.
Enjoy the evening.
Thank you.
How's the sound? How's the sound? Can you hear me? Can you hear me over them? Okay, we'll talk loud.
Can you hear me over them?
The mic is right here, so
All right.
you can do that orator thing that you
I'll try.
you attorneys do. Okay. Am I stiff? I said I was stiff earlier. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Not that I'm any kind of fashion expert whatsoever.
Well, I tied that knot in a hurry. It's probably not in the best shape.
Okay.
You look very
A
good.
little crooked. Okay.
And I'm just going to start right into it. I'm here at the Stonewall Bar Association dinner, awards dinner, with Evan Wolfson, Senior Staff Attorney of Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. Evan, how are you?
I'm good. Good to be here.
Thanks for talking with us. I wanted to ask you about the Boy Scout decision, naturally. The court basically gave the Boy Scouts the right to discriminate against gay scouts. What was the reasoning for that? Okay. You ready? I'm here now with Evan Wolfson of Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. He's a senior staff attorney there. And thanks for joining me, Evan.
My pleasure.
I wanted to ask you about the Boy Scout decision that the Supreme Court handed down this summer. Could you tell us a little bit about the reasoning? I'm sorry, I have to do it again. Okay.
You know, I'm going to tell you, though, what I actually am more interested in talking
Yeah.
about is not the reasoning of the
Yeah.
court, because who cares?
Yeah.
What I'm more interested in talking about is what's happening now. So
That was going to be my follow-up.
So I would basically just say, what did the Supreme Court say?
Okay.
And, do that, and then I'll do a quick thing on that, and then go to the more important.
Okay, well then I'm going to follow up with
What's and now what?
and now the support's eroding, that sort of thing. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm here with Evan Wolfson, Senior Staff Attorney of Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. And how are you, Evan? Good to see you.
I'm happy to be back in Atlanta.
Thanks for talking with us. I wanted to ask you about the Boy Scout decision.
Okay.
Can you tell us what the Supreme Court said in their ruling?
Right. Well, by a vote of 5-4, the Rehnquist majority of the Supreme Court said that the Boy Scouts organization has a right to discriminate, but they didn't say that discrimination is right. And so what we're looking to now is what people can do around the rest of the country to express their dissatisfaction and their disagreement with this discrimination, and to channel their support from the one program that discriminates to all the other major youth programs that don't discriminate, like the Girl Scouts, the Campfire Boys and Girls,
Right.
the 4-H Club, and all these other groups that recognize that all kids need to be included.
And what can we do in our communities to send that message to the Boy Scouts that we don't agree with their anti-gay policies?
Well, I mean, all across the country, people are speaking up, and this is not just gay people protesting the Boy Scouts. This is non-gay people and companies and corporations and funders and United Ways who don't agree with this discrimination. And what we can do is go to these companies, go to these corporations, go to the United Way, go to the city, go to the schools, and ask them to speak up and show them how they can make a difference in support of all kids. Urge them to channel their support to programs that don't discriminate rather than supporting the only one that does discriminate. We all have a great chance now to have a dialogue with non-gay groups and people and churches and schools and funders to urge them to speak up for gay kids as well as non-gay kids.
Good. I also wanted to ask you about some good news that we had this summer in Vermont. The civil unions law passed there. What are the implications for that to the other states? Will you think that eventually Vermont civil unions will be recognized by other states, or other states will adopt civil union?
Well, Vermont took a huge step forward, something that most people thought we'd never see, and created what is in essence gay marriage in one state in the United States. But what we want is not gay marriage. What we want is marriage, full equality, the freedom to marry, the freedom to have family protections in all 50 states for all people, gay and non-gay. So what we can do in the rest of the country, here in Georgia and elsewhere, is engage non-gay people on the freedom to marry. Talk about marriage, talk about our families, ask them to support this. And even if they don't come all the way in one step, we will pull them in the right direction, just like the vice presidential candidates showed in the debate last week, where both Dick Cheney, a Republican, a very conservative, and Joe Lieberman, a fairly centrist Democrat, both of them said that they are grappling with the idea of gay people and marriage, gay people and family protections. This is really extraordinary, given that just one presidential election ago, both parties were falling over themselves to sign the anti-gay federal anti-marriage law. Now you have both candidates saying, I'm thinking about marriage. We need to continue that discussion.
Absolutely. It's going to be a big year for us.
We have a real chance to have a difference. Things are changing. Non-gay people are listening. We have to be the ones to go and engage them group by group, person to person, and every one of us has a responsibility to do that. And if people go to the Lambda Legal Defense website, they can find action steps on how to do that.
Great. Evan, thanks for talking with us.
Absolutely, my
Very
pleasure.
informative. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Good meeting you.
Brad, is that good?
$100 bill. I'll have some fun. That'll work. Yeah. That's great. $40 like it's counterfeit. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm honored to be the new president of Stonewall, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see so many new faces and so many returning faces to this dinner. It's such a great event every year. Jim has been such an excellent president this year, and everyone on the board really appreciates his energy and his ideas, and I really appreciate the way he's mentored me through this year. Like I said, we really have had a smooth transition, and I hope to continue that next year. And we just wanted to give Jim a token of our appreciation, so we have
Okay. He's elected to open at the table.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. During my tenure, I intend to continue to build on the momentum and the success that we've had in the last year. And as this is the first year of the new millennium, I think it only proper that one of the main goals is to bring us further into the technological age. And with that in mind, as you all have seen these pink little slips on your tables, we have developed our own website, and it's www.stonewallbar.org. It's in the final stages of being finalized. If you go on tomorrow and there's some bugs, don't be surprised, but let me know. It looks really wonderful, and you know, that's my humble opinion. And I'm very grateful to the web designers, V. Kimbrell and Jessica Miller, who couldn't make it tonight, but they're the owners of Pixelcraft Design, and they've just done a fantastic job and have worked really hard for this organization on a volunteer basis, I might add. So they are our silver sponsors as well. Our premier event each year is this dinner, and it takes a lot of time and effort and detailed attention, detailed work to put this dinner on, and I really want to thank two individuals in particular. The entire board has really done a fantastic job, but Jim Tarleton, our past president, and John Israel, our treasurer, have really gone out of their way and have done a whole lot of work to put this together, and I really wanted to recognize them. Thank you. We also couldn't continue to host such a great awards dinner every year without the support of our sponsors. And this year, Stonewall instituted a 3-tiered level of sponsorship. We have a gold level, silver level, and a bronze level. And we are incredibly pleased with the response. We have 12 sponsors, which is 6 times more than any other year that we've had. And so I'm just thrilled by that. And I'm going to recognize those sponsors right now. And when I call your name, if there are representatives or employees, I'd love for you to stand up and be recognized. The law firm of Russell and Herrera. And I'm not sure if anyone's here from American Court Reporting. Is anyone here? American Court Reporting. Both of those companies are long-standing supporters and sponsors of this event, and we really want to thank them for their continued support. And we hope they come back again next year. Alston & Bird is our other gold level sponsor. We have a long-standing relationship with Alston & Bird. And Jack Centerfit's here with Alston & Bird, as well as our award recipient, Lori Demarest. And we're pleased to continue that long-standing relationship that we have with that firm and thank them for their support. At the silver level, we have 3 more sponsors. Our past president's own firm, Cassaday and Tarleton, if Warren and Jim will stand. Pixelcraft Design, who I announced earlier, are our webmasters. And my own bosses, Kramer and Thomas, whom I'd personally like to thank, because all of the attorneys in my firm actually showed up tonight, and I really appreciate that, Sarah and Craig. I especially wanted to thank Michael Kramer and Terry Thomas for all the support they give me and the Stonewall Bar Association. You guys are really great, especially for two straight guys. At the bronze level, we have 6 sponsors. First, we have our treasurer, John M. Israel's law office. We have our secretary, Kay Young's law office. Also, the newly formed law firm of one of our board members, Lori Surmay. The law firm is titled Claiborne, Outman, and Surmay. The law offices of Joyce Colmar, also a board member. By way of Courier, which is a courier company that many of us in this room have used or using currently. And last but not least is a new company to the Atlanta area, Advocate Video. And the owner, Harris Bittman, is here with his partner, Rabbi Joshua Lesser. And we'd like to recognize them. Thank you all for sponsoring this event. Jim and I were lucky to have a really wonderful board of directors. Did I miss something? Jim and I were lucky to have a really great board of directors over the last year. And 6 of the board members will be retiring from the board, and we formally want to recognize those folks for their contributions. And if the people are here, if they could step forward, that would be wonderful. When I call your name. While each of these people deserve their own standing ovation, I will ask that you hold your applause until the end of each list, and I'll let you know when it's over. Melinda Agee, past president and longtime board member. You don't have to hold your... Ann Buckborough, who I believe is at home with her brand new baby, Ethan. Andy Ordina is our male student board member. Are you here, Andy? And our female student board member is Beth Luttrell. Thank you all so much for your service. Though the retiring board members will be missed, we are fortunate to keep many active and wonderful board members, and we have gotten some really wonderful, enthusiastic new board members who I'd like to introduce you to now. I'd like to state also that our board's professional affiliations are truly representative of that of the full spectrum of our membership. We have board members who are solo practitioners, those that work in small and mid-sized firms, and some from the largest law firms in Atlanta, and we're very proud of all of them. Our 8 returning board members are, and I'm also going to announce the new officers. Please stand when your name is called. Jim Charlton is the past president. Of course, you've met Jim. Scott Titshaw is our new vice president. Scott, back there. Thank you. John Israel will be continuing as treasurer. Kay Young is continuing as secretary and entering I don't know how many years on the board. She's, I think, been here since the beginning. Thank you, Kay. Lori Surmay, who begins her second 2-year term. Hunter Jefferson. Thanks, Hunter. Nancy Greenwood served as our membership director this year, and unfortunately, as with many of the folks at Alston and Byrd, is out of town tonight. And our last board member is Marla Butler. Thank you. Our 4 newly elected board members are Joyce Colmar, Jack Centerfit, Brandy Fry, and Skip Smith. And I have one more note of thanks to Hunter Jefferson's firm, Smith, Gambrell, and Russell, for providing us with the space for our board meetings and our annual meeting. We appreciate that support as well. As in years past, we are privileged to have numerous members of the bench here with us tonight, and we would like to take a moment to recognize them. But before I do that, I also wanted to say that we had so many kind letters and calls from many of the state and Superior Court judges. Unfortunately and unavoidably, we scheduled at the same time that the State Court Judges Conference is in North Georgia. So many of those judges have come in the past, and so many who haven't come in the past really expressed that they would have liked to have been here, and we wanted to recognize them as well. I'd first like to extend a special warm welcome to last year's keynote speaker, Judge Marvin Shue. I guess he really needs no introduction, but he is a senior judge with the U.S. District Court in the Northern District of Georgia, and his lovely wife, Janice Shube, is here again tonight, and she comes every year as well, and we'd like to recognize her. I'm going to name additional judges, and we are pleased to have with us tonight Judge Roland Barnes, the Fulton County Superior Court. Judge William Riley of the Municipal Court of Atlanta. Judge Ann Barnes of the Georgia Court of Appeals. Judge Cynthia Wright of the Fulton County Superior Court. Judge Stephanie Manis, also of Fulton County Superior Court. Judge Gary Tharp, City of Atlanta Traffic Court and Stonewall Bar member. Judge Andrew Mickle, Municipal Court of Atlanta. Judge Wendy Shube, whom we're always happy to have at the Fulton County Superior Court. Judge Clayton Schofield, United States District Court Magistrate Judge, Northern District. Judge Robert Castellani of the DeKalb County Superior Court. Judge Bensonetta Tipton Lane of Fulton County Superior Court. A new visitor to our dinner this year, Judge Julie Walker of Municipal Court of Atlanta. Judge Ruth Claiborne, part-time magistrate judge in the Superior Courts and an administrative law judge. I think I saw Judge Jackson T. Bedford sneak in a little while ago, Fulton County Superior Court. And he snuck out again. Is Judge John Goger in the room? No. Are there any judges that I have failed to recognize? Judge Ann Herrera. Decatur Court. Welcome. Thank you. Anyone else? I have some sad news to report, actually, about the bar tonight. I don't know, many of you may already know this, but Judge Larry Paul, who is a City of Atlanta Traffic Court judge and the first openly gay judge that we know of in the state of Georgia, passed away last night from a long battle with cancer. So I'd like to acknowledge his passing and have just a couple seconds of silence. Jane Morrison wanted me to tell everyone that Judge Paul really made traffic court so much of a friendlier place for gay and lesbian people who not only were in the court appearing as defendants or attorneys, but also for the employees, and he'll be sadly missed. I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize some of the other distinguished guests in our midst in no particular order. They are Georgia Senator Vincent Fort, who is one of our award recipients tonight. our keynote speaker, Evan Wolfson of Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. Dean Marjorie Girth, former Dean of the Georgia State University Law School and award recipient in the past. Foster Corbin, the Executive Director of Metro Fair Housing. Sam Hamrick, Deputy Chief Clerk for the Northern District.
Known to most of us, who is a friend and a colleague of mine, and I had volunteered to present this award as it was near and dear to my heart, and now I'm nervous, so excuse me. The first award is for outstanding service to the Stonewall community, and having served on the Stonewall board for a number of years now, I see that that community's definition has expanded over time. Laura Demarest has been a very public and unfailing role model to many of us in this room and to others who are not in the room tonight. I have spoken in preparation for this presentation to many of Lori's friends, family, colleagues, etc., and a few adjectives keep coming to mind, and it's interesting because they were the three that I wrote down when I very first volunteered to do this. One is integrity, one is complexity, and one is dignity. Just last evening, or just this afternoon, as a matter of fact, I spoke with my law partner, and she gave me at least two of those same adjectives in describing Lori Demarest. Can you hear me before I go on? Is that a little bit better? Okay. As a little bit of background, Lori was born a Yankee, but oh well, we're going to give her the award anyway. Born in Hartford, Connecticut. Educationally, she received her JD at Emory University. There, I wouldn't dare try to go through her entire CV. It is far too voluminous, but I'll try to hit some highlights. While at Emory, she was in the Order of the Barristers, also the National Moot Court team, the Patent Law Moot Court team, where she was a Midwest regional winner. She joined law practice in 1981 and has worked for a few firms here in Atlanta, including Hart & Sullivan, later to become Sullivan Hall, Booth & Smith, where she became a partner, before moving back to Boston. While in Boston working for Morrison, Mahoney, and Miller, she was lead counsel in 16 complex medical malpractice trials with, get this, 15 defendants' verdicts. Well, fast forward then to when she came down to Atlanta, and she has been with the firm of Alston and Bird, which again is a past recipient of a Stonewall Bar Association award for being an outstanding law firm. Lori, as a partner there, has been a role model both as a woman and as an openly out lesbian at Alston and Bird. She concentrates in the area of medical products and services litigation. She has been a member of the hiring committee as well for the last several years. I'm going to skip some of her professional activities because they are just amazing and too voluminous to go into. But one of the reasons that she, came up as a candidate for this award this year and how many of us came in contact originally with Lori was through her work with the Human Rights Campaign. She has served, from what I can tell, about no less than a dozen different leadership roles, thank you very much, leadership roles with HRC, including some that she presently holds as co-chair of the Board of Governors, on the Executive Committee of the Board of Governors, also the Executive Committee of the Board of Directors, everything from Southern Regional directorships to co-chairing the dinner that many of us attend and enjoy each year. She is also politically active in campaigning. Kathy Woolard is here tonight. She has acted as her campaign chair. Now that Kathy is running for council chairman, she is also the chair of that campaign as well. She has worked in service to the Stonewall Community Award.
when I learned that I was going to be receiving this award, I called Mimi and said, well, what do you want me to say, and how long do you want me to talk? And she said, well, I'll talk for about 5 minutes, and I think my 5 minutes is up at this point. But I do want to just take a moment to thank and acknowledge some folks that are responsible for me being here tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank the Stonewall Bar Association for selecting me for this award. There are an awful lot of people in this city and many in this room who have worked tirelessly for our civil rights, and I'm very honored to be among them tonight. I'm also very grateful for working at a firm, Alston & Bird, with a culture that values community service. The firm has been very supportive of me, and through supporting me and others in our firm, like Ken Britt, has really supported our community. And I just want to tell you a quick story that sort of exemplifies that. When I became the co-chair of the Board of Governors of the Human Rights Campaign, I went to speak with my managing partner, Ben Johnson, just to tell him about this commitment that I had made and that it might have a little impact on my billable hours, and that it might attract, might have a little bit of visibility that might not be very welcome by some of our clients. And Ben was very supportive, very reassuring. And I went back to my office, and about 15 minutes after I'd gotten back to my office, I had a telephone call. And it was from a guy who worked for Alston & Bird's public relations firm. And he said, well, Ben just called me, and he wants us to put out a press release about your new position with the Human Rights Campaign. So that's just an example of how supportive they have been. And most importantly, I need to acknowledge and thank my real managing partner, Lee Kaiser, who has been encouraging and supportive of me. I think most people in this room know how difficult it is to juggle a career and a family and all the other things you do, and Lee really gets it. And she knows she's involved in this struggle herself for our civil rights, and she knows how important it is to me. And when there's another meeting to go to, she doesn't give me a hard time most of the time. And she provides me with balance. Sometimes it's discouraging to realize how far we still have to go in the battle for our civil rights. And when we see the backlash, things like the backlash that's happening in Vermont against those good people who were trying to do the right thing, and we tune into the television and we hear people from Focus on the Family, Family Research Council spewing out hate and intolerance, it's tough to hear that. But then there are a few moments that make it all seem worthwhile, and I don't know how many of you watched the presidential debate last night, but a remarkable thing happened, I think. It was a small thing, but first of all, the gay question was asked in a national presidential debate. And I don't think that would have happened. I know that wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. I don't think it happened 4 years ago. So that was the first thing. And then the sitting vice president of the United States proudly and enthusiastically supported hate crimes legislation that includes sexual orientation, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, civil unions. Some of us would like them to go further, but civil unions is pretty darn good at this point. And the Republican candidate bobbed and weaved, and he was a little disingenuous. But the remarkable thing about that was he was afraid to say in front of a national audience, he was afraid to tell Americans that he does not support hate crimes legislation that includes sexual orientation, which he doesn't. And he was afraid to tell America that he does not support workplace protection for gay and lesbian people, which he doesn't. So, I mean, that small exchange, I think, is just one example of, it's just one result of all of the hard work that men and women like you and like Evan Wolfson and Senator Vincent Fort and Kathy Willard and other people in this room have done over the last 20 or 30 years. And I know, not all of you, everybody's at different places in their careers and in their lives, and not everybody has the time to stuff envelopes and hold political fundraisers and work to elect fair-minded officials. But there's something else that you can do and that you do every year and every day that's equally important, and that is to be out and to be open and honest about who you are with your work colleagues and with your family and with your friends. And when you do that, little by little, you contribute to changing the hearts and minds of America, and you create a culture that makes a George W. Bush afraid to say that he does not value the freedom of all Americans. So thank you for everything you do, and thank you for this award.
Congratulations, Lori. You really deserve that award and that recognition. Here to present our second award is Stonewall Secretary Kay Young, who will be presenting the award for the Stonewall Community Ally to Senator Vincent Fort.
Hello, I'm Kay Young, and I'm really honored and privileged to present this award to Vincent Fort. This is our Community Ally Award. Some of you may remember it as our Straight But Not Narrow Award in years past. I've known Vincent Fort for about 10 years, and I remember him when he was an advocate and a community activist in the city of Atlanta, representing and helping the least of us, poor people, people African American descent, minorities, gays and lesbians. He has been there for us, and now he's been a member of the Georgia State Senate. He's entering into his third term, and we're very honored that he was able to get the hate crimes bill passed in Georgia. As many of you know, this has been a long-term effort, and I would be remiss if I did not recognize people who have been in the vineyards toiling on this issue for many years. Representative Jim Martin, Representative Nan Orrock, Representative Doug Teeper have been there for us in the past as well. And as my good friend Joan Garner said, Vincent caught the ball and ran for the touchdown. And I'm very honored to be able to present this award to him. I am not going to go through his resume. I can't read it because my eyesight is not that good. But I do want to tell you that Vincent is a professor of history and political science at Morris Brown. Vincent led a coalition to get the hate crimes bill passed this year. This was not an effort of just one group of people. And I want to name some of the coalition members just so you have an idea of the breadth and depth of the organizations and the support that Vincent had in getting this bill passed in the year 2000. We had Disability Link on this coalition. There was GEP on the coalition. The NAACP was on the coalition. The ACLU of Georgia. The Georgia Rural Urban Summit. The Anti-Defamation League was a very major player. The Georgia Abortion Rights Action League. The Feminist Women's Health Center. Men Stopping Violence. The American Jewish Committee. GANESA, that's the Georgia Network to End Sexual Assault, the Latin American Association, the Rainbow Coalition, the Asian American Coalition, Concerned Black Clergy, the DA's office, believe it or not. We had lots of support and encouragement and good feedback from the DAs, the Center for Democratic Renewal, Public Policy Advocate, and we had other senators and representatives who were supportive. Vincent had a hard row to hoe because in January of 2000, we had several meetings. It was not clear that this bill was going to pass the Senate. And Vincent talked to the lieutenant governor, he talked to the leadership, he talked to Republicans, he talked with anyone who would listen and those who wouldn't listen. And as Joan said, we have a touchdown, and I really would like all of you to join me in honoring Vincent Fort and giving him this award.
Thank you, Kay, for those kind words, and thank you, Stonewall Bar Association, for giving me this award. This is a great evening for me to be recognized in this way. You know, Dr. King would call this a mountaintop experience, looking out over the city and being in an elegant room with such well-educated and articulate people. It surely is a mountaintop experience, and I'm glad to be here, you know, because I have enough valley experiences. Kay Young said that I caught the ball and ran with it for a touchdown. That may be true, but there were times, Kay, as you know, that football was kind of hot. I wanted to drop it, and sometimes we pitched it and took it out to fire. Let me tell you a very quick story. I know I only have, what, 5 minutes? Okay. That's not the right thing. She said you can go as long as you want. My daddy used to tell me, don't get him to talk, they'll tell you everything you know. So I'm going to try to be brief. But there was a time when this bill was in the Rules Committee over on the House side, and I don't know if you were there, Kay, or some of y'all may have been there. It was in the Rules Committee, and Kelvin Smyrie is chair of the Rules Committee. And as you know, the Rules Committee is the gateway committee. Any bill, in order to pass, has to go through that committee. And I went once to talk about the bill, and then I went a second time and had my little graphs and maps and made a slick presentation. And then Representative Smyrie from down there in Columbus, he took a voice vote on whether the bill should be put on the calendar for the next day. And he asked for the vote, and the yeas were few and far in between, and the nays were loud and strong. And I said, oh, Lord, we done lost this bill. And he asked for another voice vote. He said, this is an important bill, and Senator Ford has worked hard on it. And he asked for another voice vote, and the yeas were a little bit stronger, but they were still relatively weak, and the nays were even louder. And I think I grabbed onto the edge of the table and said, now I know it's gone. And Kelvin Smyrie looked down at the table and said, Senate Bill 390 is on the calendar tomorrow. That's the chair's prerogative. I know judges have strong prerogatives, but that's a very strong prerogative. The bill got taken out of the fire and put on the calendar, and that's a great thing. In the year 2000, when a black man who could not have walked in the Capitol through the front door was able to put that bill on the calendar so it could pass. So that was almost a Valley experience, but I'll be very honest with you. The hate crimes bill for me was just part of a larger vision. I look at politics and the law in a way that either you're on the side of the exploited or you're on the side of the exploiter. You're either on the side of the weak or you're on the side of the strong. Either you're on the side of the oppressed or the oppressor. I'll tell you, I want to be on the side of the oppressed every time. And we've got a lot of work to do in this state, but we've got to do it together. We've got to walk arm in arm. I had a Valley experience earlier this week. You're going to be hearing a lot about this issue, and one way or the other relates to you. I was down in Savannah working on the issue of predatory lending, where weak and poor people are being exploited by the strong and the powerful, and that's an issue that we need to deal with, and that's an issue y'all ought to have an impact on. As intelligent and articulate as you are, you need to help on this issue, because we cannot have a just state unless that issue is dealt with. Something else, Lori, and by the way, you're from Hartford. You must have a bias toward people from Connecticut. I'm originally born and raised in New Britain, Connecticut, a small town up north. So I'm a Yankee too, and proud to be a Yankee in the South. In any event, last night, Al Gore said something, and it went so quickly, Lori, when he said it about Matthew Shepard. Matthew Shepard was crucified. Did you hear him say that? Does everybody remember? He said Matthew Shepard was crucified. And I said, wow, I almost fell off my chair. Not only was he talking about hate crimes and the need for including people in the hate crimes law, but he was talking about how this man was crucified. And using that Christian imagery was very powerful last night. And we need to use our faith and our intelligence, our legal skills, our political skills, to make sure that Georgia is a place where people can work together, put those divisions aside, and work as one for freedom, justice, and equality. Thank you. God bless you.